Sorry, I'm on mute. Did you go live yet?
I'll be live in like 5 seconds.
Okay. Okay, let's get started. So hello and welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. Before we get started, I would like to remind you to please keep yourself on mute during the event, unless you're asking a question, as well as inform you that we are recording this event and we're also streaming live on Facebook. My name is Sam, and I am one of the 4 core team members of the Ottawa Young Black Professionals. In case you're hearing about us for the first time, we are a networking organization focused on providing young Black professionals with access to mentorship, coaching, and knowledge sharing opportunities, encouraging young Black professionals to lead, inspire, and create opportunities for others in their respective fields, and supporting ideas and initiatives that position our members and the community for success. While there will be an emphasis to support and address issues facing young Black professionals, membership is open to all Black professionals. We're an open group that welcomes participation and perspectives from the greater community. Before we go any further, we'd also like to acknowledge that this event is being streamed from Ottawa, which is located on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation, and we express our respect to all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people for their valuable contributions past and present to this country. If you are joining us from somewhere else, please feel free to do your own. We hope that you were able to take part in the Day to Listen radio broadcasts that took place across the country today to amplify Indigenous voices by sharing stories from Indigenous leaders, residential school survivors, elders, musicians, and teachers. We also want to recognize the United Nations Decade for People of African Descent, which started in 2015 and ends in 2024, and acknowledge this as an opportunity to promote the significant contributions made by people of African descent to Canada, to secure concrete measures to enable our full inclusion in Canadian society, and to dismantle anti-Black racism in all its forms. At this time, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to have the rest of the team introduce ourselves. One of our core team members, Keisha, is away sick, so shout out to Keisha. We wish her all the best in health. But let's start with Natalie.
Welcome and good evening, everyone. My name is Natalie Tate. As Sam alluded to, I'm one of the core members of the team, and so happy that you all can come out and enjoy this conversation with Gwen Madiba today. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Lachance. I'm one of the core members of YBP. I'm the marketing guy for the organization. So I guess my purpose of joining YBP is to help get the to promote the message that YBP is all about, and to so that we can make the biggest difference that we can. First of all, I'd like to thank Sam for getting us started. So as you know, today we're going to have a conversation with Gwen Madiba. I'm going to give you guys a quick biography. Her biography is quite extensive, but we're just going to keep it short for today. So Gwen is a human rights advocate and an international award-winning speaker who has dedicated her life to empowering women, young girls, and youth around the world. Among her many achievements, in 2009, she became the president of Equal Chance Foundation. It's an organization that advocates for equal opportunities for Black communities in Canada, while equipping Black Canadians with concrete tools to succeed in society. Through Equal Chance, she has developed various programs, including the very successful food program, Meals for Hope, which serves local Ottawa communities during the pandemic, and also led to Gwen receiving the United Way of Eastern Ontario's Community Builders Award, COVID-19 Heroes Edition. I could go on and on with the lineage of awards and achievements and business ventures that Gwen has earned or been involved in, but we'll discuss some of these during our conversation. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome Gwen. So Gwen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, I'd like to say congratulations for this year's Afrofest, which was last week. That was a nice event. I saw like great headlines.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I think I'll let Natalie start with the interview questions.
Thank you, Daniel. So first off, really curious to find out a lot more about you. Honestly, when we first met, I think it was like through like a Facebook post, and you posted something, I responded, we met, and I was just like, this is a cool girl doing some really good work in the community. And then I went on to like read up on you, especially for this interview, and I was like, goodness gracious, like this girl has done some, you've been involved in a lot of things. So I'm glad that we're gonna have the opportunity to talk more about it and let our membership know a lot more about you and get inspired by your great deal of work and experience and knowledge. So I just wanted to start off with, I know that you graduated from University of Ottawa, and you graduated with a bachelor's in comms and sociology and a master's degree in sociology as well. And so with that level of academic achievement, I mean, you could have done a lot of things, right? So what made you choose advocacy work and eventually a position with as a president of Equal Chance?
I think that it's always been in me, working with people and working for people. And I've been doing this since I was a child with my mother. My mother was really dedicated to others. She volunteered a lot in the community. When my dad arrived in Canada as a diplomat, my mom, who was a pediatrician, could no longer work, but she couldn't stay at home. So she started volunteering at the Shepherd of Good Hope. And at times when we weren't at school, she would involve us a lot, get us out there in the community, meeting people, helping people, working with people. And I think that it's my calling in life. I remember when I was 12 and my dad was asking all of us, what is your purpose in life? My answer was and is still to be in service of others. And Equal Chance for me is the best way to be in service of others, especially members of our community.
Could you I don't know if this question is a bit similar, but if you can tell us a bit about yourself, like before Equal Chance, and I guess what led you to a life in advocacy.
For sure. I mean, I arrived in Canada in 1995. My dad was a diplomat for the Embassy of Gabon. We had a pretty decent life growing up, but you know, there's always, when we talk about diplomacy, sometimes people see it as, you know, such a perfect, you know, beautiful life, but it's not always. You know, there's a lot of assumptions that come when you say that you're a diplomat or your parents are diplomats. Ultimately, people think that you're super wealthy or you have everything. The reality is that it's not always true. You know, I will not, obviously, I won't say much, but sometimes diplomats do struggles at times. It's just like international students, right? When we think of international students in Canada, we always think that they're like the wealthiest people. And it's not always true. And we've seen this with the COVID-19 pandemic. And who were the most affected? It was international students generally that came from sub-Saharan Africa. And so when we arrived here in Canada, it was a brand new world for us. I had never experienced racism in my life. I mean, I was in Gabon, almost everybody was Black. I didn't even know I was Black when I was in Gabon. I was just a happy African dancing kid. And then I got here and had my first experience with racism when I was 7, when a child in school, in primary school, told me that in winter, if I crossed this line outside, that he would smack my head on the floor. And he did, because I crossed, because I wasn't going to let someone tell me what I can and can't do, especially because of my skin color. And I still have a picture of that black eye. It was my first traumatizing experience in understanding what racism was. And then years later, I'll just really fast forward. As I was starting university, in 2006, actually, my dad was called back in Gabon, and he left on January 1st. And on July 30th, 2006, my mom and my little sisters were to go live with my dad. But on the night of July 26th to 27th, my dad was brutally murdered. And he was beat up to death by four people that he knew, that he helped, that he supported morally, financially, etc. Till this day, we don't have the motive, but we think we know, and that's really not important at this point, because it's not going to bring him back. But that incident in life started a series of things a series of blessings, I would say. I would never consider these things that happened to me as curses, because they led to where I'm at today, and they're participating in where God is trying to take me. And so when I came back, I didn't have much money to pay for rent, etc. And I got kicked out of my apartment and became homeless. So I lived in a homeless shelter for 3 months on Cumberland. It was an all-men's shelter. One of my friends from the same high school that I went to when we were younger became homeless, and he was living there for a while. So we shared his room. There was a common bathroom. So of course I couldn't shower there because it was all men. So I would shower at the University of Ottawa, go to class, chill with my friends, like nothing was happening. None of my friends knew I was homeless. I only shared that with people about 2-3 years ago, and when I felt more comfortable with myself to just share my story. And obviously a lot of them were upset because they told me that they would have helped had they known. But this experience just really shaped me and shaped my strength and reinforced my faith in God, that I was able to claim and say that within 3 months I would be out. And within 2 months and a half, close to 3 months, I was able to get the first and last rent of my apartment that I lived in for like over 15 years. And it was, for me, an experience that showed me that anything is really possible when we have faith. I worked 3 jobs. I got a job to do cards at the University of Ottawa, student cards at the Student Federation as a receptionist. And I was also working at the University of Ottawa's call center. It was really, really a hard period. At the same time, I was trying to keep my grades high, which I'm happy I was able to do. But the second semester, I completely crashed. And it made me understand that this thing about being a super person, superwoman, it needs to be toned down. You know, we can't always do everything, and you do what you can when you can with what you have. And when you do things with a heart of gratitude and with faith and love, all things always end up working for the good of those who love him. So for me, it was really hard, and this is why nowadays I dedicate a lot of my time, a lot of my efforts, even at Equal Chance, with to homeless families, and just being able to spend time with them and make them understand that this situation is just temporary, and it will be temporary if they want it to be temporary. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and even before the end of the tunnel, we have to understand that we are the light within the tunnel.
Absolutely. And I like what you say about how, in the moment, or even looking back now, I guess, you don't really see those things as hardships. They were blessings or things that shaped you and built you. So I can see how those experiences speak into the work that you're doing now, and
Absolutely.
the passion, the motivation, and the determination. Because, a lot of us, if you follow you on Facebook or any other those social mediums, we see all the work that you're doing. And I'm telling you, this girl will work to the point of exhaustion to help other people. So I can see how that experience would lead you down that path. So, I really appreciate you sharing that with us. So, I mean, you talked about it a bit in the explanation that you provided just now, but if you can expand a little bit more on, the phrase that you use on your website, for the love of humanity, what exactly does that mean to you?
I just love people. I respect all people, whether it's the janitor or the president. I give them the same level of respect because I was raised this way. And I believe that each one has the ability to teach one, and that when we take out titles and all these things, we're just all the same people. Everyone can bless everyone. And that's something that I learned along the years as well. I really love people. I love children. I just love people. I'm happy around people, and that's what for the love of humanity means. I believe that we are each other's responsibility to a certain level. We also have to watch ourselves and watch our environment. I mean, you don't just pour into the wrong people, but I strongly believe that when you find the folks that you're on the same frequency as, that we are each other's responsibility, that we must care for each other. And whatever happens to your neighbor can happen to you. So when you see something that is not right, we have a responsibility as a people, as a person, as a society to to just speak up and speak out for others. For me, like you said, sometimes I will never encourage people to do things to the point of exhaustion. But the reason why I go hard for people is because for years I had no one go hard for me. I had no one that could support me. I had no one that I could go to that would fight for my human rights when they were, not respected. I just didn't have resources. And so when I see injustice, it really not makes me angry, but makes me want to fight harder. And so I fight like it's my own. I fight for people like they're my own blood, like I gave birth to them, or they're my mom or my dad. And I think that really comes from not having the proper support and the proper tools and resources when I was struggling.
Looking at the work that you do, what allows you to flourish in this field of advocacy, and I guess what skills, experiences are you bringing to the table?
Well, that's a really good question. What allows me to flourish are people like Natalie and people like Sarah Onyango that I see on the line here, and other human beings that just trust me with this work. What allows me to flourish are the people that I work with. And when I say I work with, that includes the homeless and low-income Black families and other BIPOC families that I work with. We can't do things on our own. This self-made thing is made up. No one is self-made. First of all, God gives us the ability to do what we need to do. He gives us the resources, and he equips us with the right tools and the right people. So for me, it's always a blessing to be able to honor those who help me. Natalie is actually one of the people that helped us kickstart our food security program and maintain it at times where when we thought that, you know, the program was dying, we don't have much money left, and she would come and support with her own. And so I don't think that it's we need any special skills or any amount of money to be able to help others. I think that if we have the heart to do that, that's more than enough. There's always resources. We can always find resources. If we're missing food, I can go on the Black Ottawa Connect group or other groups and ask for food. And I guarantee you that within minutes, people can come with cans, with rice, with whatever we need to continue our programs. And our programs are very, very simple. It doesn't ask much. And what the past 2 years have shown me is really like what I said a few minutes ago. We don't need much to help people. We really don't. I actually have Ans here. You can't see him. Ans Peter, because he likes the Peter. Principal, he has been of the greatest help as well over the past few weeks, you know, even helping with the kids at the Tabor shelter, helping them with their bikes, even just like taking them for rides around the neighborhood just to make them happy. It doesn't take much.
Absolutely. And I like what you say when you say you just keep it simple, right? And huge shout out to Black Ottawa Connect, because I see you go on there often and just put things out, and then people just kind of, you know, gravitate because they trust you, and they gravitate to your calls for action.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, shout out to Black Ottawa Connect for providing that space and resource.
If I may say just quickly,
Yeah.
Natalie, I think that it's also a question of being honest with your intentions and having pure intentions towards people. And when we go in neighborhoods that are low-income neighborhoods or where there's homeless families, the majority of people that are there are kids. And there are no better people than kids to tell you the truth about yourself. And kids feel energy. You know, they feel it. If you're not being real with them, they will feel it. And Black kids, they will let you know. And so for me, it's like one of the things that has been extremely important through Equal Chance is whenever someone wants to donate things to us, I often invite them to come with us in the neighborhoods that we work with so that they can give it themselves and see the impact of their work. Now, you have organizations that will say, oh, sponsor a kid, but you can't speak to the kid. It doesn't make any sense, right? And so what we're trying to do is really connect everybody and make them see the impact of their work. Here's the mother that you're helping. Here are the children that you're helping. And I think that makes a lot of difference. A big difference in like you said, Nat, in folks trusting that the resources that they're giving are going towards the right place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see Sarah providing some, Sarah Nyango providing some goodies of knowledge in the chat here. She says, Gwen embodies Ubuntu, and Gwen brings humility, resourcefulness, and integrity to the table. There's no training for that.
Thank you.
And I agree with that 100%. So we talked a little bit about the some of the stuff that you're doing with Equal Chance, but can you go into a little bit more detail about the mission of Equal Chance and some of the other programs that you offer?
Yes, well, first of all, the reason of Equal Chance, why did I even call it Equal Chance, was based on an experience with racism that I had in the workplace, which was absolutely horrible. I could spend days telling that story, but I won't. And for me, I worked in a workplace that was extremely racist. I faced intense racism from a specific colleague. And I remember we had hired, it was a Thursday, we hired a young, brilliant Black girl, 19-year-old Tendi, who was working as one of my project's assistant. And we had to go to Saskatoon the next day. And we were only 4 Black people working, but only 2 Black people going to Saskatoon. And I was the lead of the project. And the women that were there were not okay with the fact that I, a Black woman, was the lead of the project. And they made sure some of these women to let me know that they're not okay with the fact that I am Black and I should be at the bottom of the ladder. And so this woman was making comments like this. Like, it wasn't even like she was trying to hide it. She was very straightforward about her racism. Mind you, this is a woman who would tell us that she has 2 Black girls with a Black man, and that she doesn't speak to her daughters because her daughters identify to Black culture. And I was thinking, there's something really wrong with the person. How are you going to have two whole children with a Black person and act like this? It just didn't make sense to me. I had never experienced this in my life. I ended up filing a complaint against this person who told us, Tendi and I, that we need to eat outside because we're Black and they don't eat with Black people. That was enough for me. And so I filed a complaint. When we got back to Ottawa, instead of addressing the complaint with this individual, my former employer told me that I needed to stay in my office on the 15th floor. I was no longer allowed to move within the building because the racist woman did not feel comfortable with me around until the investigation was done. Meanwhile, my Black colleague, the only Black guy that was there with 3 Black girls, 1 Black man, he had just bought a car and he was hired for administrative tasks, and they started making him lift boxes and do things that had nothing to do with his job, do inventory of the store, etc. And so he asked for a raise. And before he asked for a raise, he came to see his 3 sisters and asked for advice. And we all told him, do not ask for a raise. They will find a way to kick you out. They don't value us. But he still did. And I appreciate and respect the fact that he did, because he said, if they can't pay me my just value, I'm just going to leave. And so he did that. And within a week, they called him in an office and said that the government cut funding and that they could no longer hire him. So they fired him. And so it was just Tendi, myself, and the other Black woman. And the other Black woman ended up leaving because her supervisor, who was not Black, was harassing her. And no one was listening to her. Then they refused to renew Tendi's contract. That was just a 3-month contract. And here I was alone, the only Black person there. The investigation wrapped up, and the conclusion of that was that the person was indeed racist, because she was very straightforward as well with the investigator. And so she got removed. But what happened after is that they had requested that I organize a high-level meeting at the UN level for their organization, and I did. During the Commission on the Status of Women, the 63rd session at the United Nations. And I managed to obtain a meeting between my CEO and the executive director of UN Women, who happens to be a brilliant Black woman, Pumzile Malambo Busuka from South Africa. And so, although I worked so hard and I got the highest level meeting, 2 weeks before the trip, they called me to tell me that they really need me to be in New York. However, they do not have the means to make me travel to New York, and that we need to come up with another solution because I need to be there. Mind you, there's a colleague of mine that was unable to travel. So there was a plane ticket available because her plane ticket hadn't been booked. They refused to book me my plane ticket, and there were over 10 of us traveling. And while I watched all my non-Black colleagues take a 1-hour flight to New York, I had to take an 11-hour bus ride to New York. And so Tendi took this bus in solidarity with me. And I remember being in the bus and we were laughing, we were crying, we were angry, we were trying to just make sense of it all. And she said, but Gwen, why are we even in this bus? And I said, we're not here for them. We're here for us. Because once I quit there, I'm launching our own foundation where we can reinvest our efforts into our community. And I called it Equal Chance because that's all I was asking. That's all Joe, my male colleague, was asking, like equal pay, just pay for what he was being asked to do. That's what Tendi was asking for, an equal opportunity, the other Black colleague. And so I called it Equal Chance for these reasons. And I left after my 11-month-old baby was attacked by one of my racist colleagues at work. They had forced me to bring my child to work, that I was feeding with an NG tube still, although I told them that I was on a schedule because I had to feed him with the machine. And they said, no, there was an important meeting with Global Affairs and it would be important that, that I come and that I figure something out. And they were trying to pretend to be really nice about it. And when I got there, one of my colleagues attacked me. I was smart enough to record the attack it was on WhatsApp voice note because I was speaking with my sister. And this lady was using derogatory terms and telling me that I need to go back and live at Chio with my sick child and all these words that I will not repeat here. And I went and I followed protocol and went to see the people I'm supposed to see before I go to HR. That person defended this person, not knowing that I had a tape. The lady started yelling effing sick child in my child's face, and you could hear my baby starting to cry in the voice note. That's when I left the office. And so when I told her, I see where you stand, I'm going to go to HR. And when I went to HR, the white lady that was there told me it's a good thing you came with this tape, because as you were coming from the 14th floor to the 9th floor, this person that you went to complain to filed an harassment file against you, stating that you lied about her employee. And so she asked me to send an email and attach the tapes, which I did. And when I did that the next day, they all went on sick leave, stating that I stressed them because I recorded them without their permission or their knowledge, and nothing happened to them. 24 or 48 hours later, I had to get in a plane to go to Colombia for an important meeting, another high-level meeting with Luis Almagro that I had helped coordinate, who's the Secretary General of the Organization of American States. And so I went there, and it was just God, because when I got there, the hotel in which we were, there was a program called NBA Without Borders. So it was all NBA players, people that were aspiring to be in the NBA, and some coaches, etc. I didn't really know anyone, but we would all find ourselves in the executive room because she had rented like an exec room for herself. So we had access to that room, and we would work there all day. She would wake me up sometimes at 5, 6 a.m. I would start the day and be done at 11 p.m. What I did not know is that some of the players that were there, and one wife of one coach, was seeing the way she was interacting with me, and they didn't like that. So 4 days later, when I was leaving with her, one lady told me, "Excuse me, young woman, can I speak with you?" I stopped, and the lady said, "No, my supervisor said we have to go." And I made a sign like I'm coming back. I came back to see her, and she started asking me questions. Who's that lady? Why are you with her? What's the situation? And I broke down and I cried. I started explaining to her. I felt like I was like almost like a hostage in this place. And so she told me that she's the wife of the assistant coach of the Orlando Magic. Her name is Dante. And she told me, if you need help, if you need support, we're here for you. And I told her I live in Canada. And she said, "I don't care where you live, but you're going to leave that job and we're going to help you." And when I got back to Canada, I quit. I just quit my job. There was a bunch of other players that were there, Bruno Caboclo, who used to play with the Toronto Raptors as well. And they were all saying, you need to get it together and leave. Like, that's not your place. And I spoke about Equal Chance, and they really encouraged me to launch Equal Chance. And so I did that. When I came back October 3rd, I gave my resignation letter and I left, and I never looked back. I had zero money starting Equal Chance. But again, I had God, and I had the support of my community. And over the past 2 years, I saw support within the Black community that I had never seen before. And that's because I was just around the wrong people, because that support does exist in our community. You just have to find your tribe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So can you, I guess, give us some details about, or like some examples of like the services or the programs of Equal Chance?
Yes. So we have 5 main programs. So the first program is our food security program, which you mentioned earlier, Daniel. The Meals for Hope program. There's also a Food Hampers program. That's also a program that the African Canadian Association of Ottawa that I work with has. It's an amazing program because it provides members of our community with culturally relevant food that they recognize, that they can actually eat and cook. And then there's a mental health program that gives access to a free mental health specialist within our community, a Black mental health specialist. also Black mental health specialists who are members of the LGBTQ community. We also have the employment program, which provides members of the community with an employment specialist who helps them with their resume, writing a resume, doing mock interviews, etc. And we have It Takes a Village. It Takes a Village is a program for low-income and homeless Black mothers. This program provides them with resources for them and their children. And these resources go from baby, food, NG and G tube machines for mothers who fed their kids with NG and G tubes like I did, diapers, etc. But also headphones, because we saw during this pandemic that some of the children had to now study from home. And when you are a homeless Black child in a household where there's one bedroom for 7 people, and now you have to share your study space with 6 of your siblings, it's not easy. So we launched a very successful headphone campaign. Again, that campaign was successful because of the people, not because of me. The people donated, they helped out a lot, they showed up for the children. So that's that It Takes a Village program. And the last one is our Afro World program. And Afro World is our program to combat racism and invite all members of Canadian society to enter in a dialogue, to discover our cultures, our arts, our artisans, our businesses, and to empower our members of our community as well.
Right. And I know earlier you said that you keep it simple, right? But still, you have a lot of programming going on that people are benefiting from. And you often hear about the struggling, nonprofit organization. So I'm wondering, I know you said community helps out a lot, but for those people who might look at you and be inspired to do something more and build their own kind of organization or launch their own kind of programming, how else are you funding all these very much needed
So,
resources?
there's this man, I don't even know him, his name is Kwame Fokang, I think. This man has been sending me funding applications almost every day. And God bless this man, because through him, we were able to access certain fundings. And so when I receive these funding opportunities, I share them with the community right away, because I don't see other members of the community or other organizations as competition. I see them as completing us. Whatever we can't offer, they can offer. Whenever we don't have food, they have food. And that's what makes the community beautiful. And so for me, it's been some members of the community that have given me, list of funding. Here are the funding. I do my own research to find funding, and also networking a lot. We network with people. We have one of our greatest supporter are the team at Odo's BMW and Odo's Subaru. They have helped us maintain our program for the past year as well. And so it's a lot of, networking. And I like that you asked this question. About 2 years ago, I took some young Black women interested in international affairs to meet with some senators. And there's a senator that stated that if any of you here are trying to start your own organization, I don't want to discourage you, but if you don't come from money, don't do it. It will never work. I don't come from money, and it's working. And then for me, the thing is, how can you look at people and say something? And she even pursued to say, like my son. And we all looked at each other and we all felt the same thing. And we felt that we belong here in the Senate. We absolutely do, but we don't have to be in this space. Because in spaces that are trying to discourage our children, we don't need to put our children there. And so it was important for me when we got out of there to go sit at the restaurant with the girls and have a conversation about what was said and make sure that they weren't discouraged, because each one of them were trying to start their own foundation, their own organizations. And if that's what our children are told in spaces like this and in schools, we're in big trouble. If they start to believe that, And again, for me, it went back to saying it didn't take much for me to launch this organization. it didn't take much for me to be able to obtain the support of the community. When people see your heart and they see what you're doing, they see that it really comes from a place of love, they're more than open and willing to help you. In fact, the first big funding we received it after I failed to apply for it because someone told me not to apply for it, that I would never get it. My organization is too young, don't do it. Then 2 months later, they reopened the funding application, and a girl named Joelle Cabisoso of Sisters in Sync in Hamilton contacted me and said, Gwen, this time, if you don't apply, I will apply for you. Here's my funding application. Get inspired by that. We don't often see that in our community, but she did that for me, and I applied and I received a lot of funding. But a few months back, I did not apply for it because someone was telling me, don't do it. Your organization is too young. You will never get it. So you can't believe what other people say about you, even the experts. Yeah. Like the biggest expert of all is God for me. So it's like, even if someone is saying, I have expertise in this, it will not happen. There's always that one chance that it does, and you have to take that chance.
So we were mentioning this earlier during the I was saying your biography, but over the weekend, you know, you released another successful edition of Afro World Fest, and we know that the event is centered around anti-racism, challenging racial stereotypes, and sharing and celebrating Black history, culture, heritage in Canada, while promoting unity within Canadian society. My question is, what is your vision for the Afro World Fest for the next year, and even in the future, even like, for example, 5 years down the road?
Yeah, my vision for it is that it becomes a national event and eventually a global event. And you know, with the pandemic, we had to really transform the pandemic into a plandemic and just plan through it, right? Happily and with faith. And so I think that one thing that it showed us is that we're more united than we think. You know, there are far more things that unite us than divide us. And so eventually I would still want to keep the online portion of the festival going, and maybe collaborate with another group at the global level, at the international level, so that this thing can become a global project that actually unites all people and becomes sort of the first global anti-racism online or on TV festival as well, with various activities happening at the same time in certain parts of the world, right? And conversations happening. And I see conversations happening in South Africa with the Mandela family and other organizations there, happening in Kenya, happening in Gabon, Senegal, in Canada, and in the islands, in St. Lucia, Haiti, Jamaica, where people are really organizing around this. And for me, I always think big, and I always think that all things are really possible through God. And so I think that this is something that has the potential to become bigger and global, God willing, but it's all in God's hands. So we'll see.
No, I like the vision. I like it. And you're right. There are these conversations happening at multiple levels of government, of society, community, and all around the world. So go for it, miss. Make that happen.
Will do.
So we're going to veer into a little slightly different direction from, you know, the nonprofit and equal chance in your work there. You've recently, or maybe it's not so recent, but you've launched your fashion line, sponsored by God. And
Yeah.
so I'd like to know a little bit more about why fashion, like what drove you into that direction, and how did you get started? Because I know there's a lot of people in the community who are doing fashion, so another source of inspiration.
I mean, like for me, I've always loved fashion. I always loved the process of creating something, wearing clothes, you know, and as I grew to get to know myself, and I feel like we're we're not human beings set in stone. We don't even fully know who we are and our potential, and we don't fully know how we will react to certain things in life until we're put in front of it. So we're continuously discovering ourselves. I have changed styles over the year. You know, I used to wear high heels all the time. But that was more of a self-esteem issue. Not that people that wear high heels have self-esteem issue. I'm talking specifically about me and my experience, where I felt like if I wore certain clothes, then that meant that I was, you know, it was just I had to really grow as a young girl and as a woman, and I'm still growing. And so my style has changed. In 2012, I had launched my first brand called Dare. That was one of my mottos in life, just to be daring in life, dare to overcome adversity, overcome pains, and dare to just live your life and achieve your goals and your dreams. And then that didn't really work out because I was making gowns in Ottawa and no one was really going out in Ottawa and places where they could wear gowns. So I was in a complete wrong market, but also people would just borrow dresses from me. And if I tell you that till this day, there are people that have still not given me my dresses back, but I forgive them like Jesus forgives people. But no, seriously, yeah, I mean, it was really hard for me. It didn't work out. And last year during the pandemic, you know, well, first of all, like in 2017, I left one of my jobs to participate in Mrs. Universe in South Africa. I had never done a pageant in my life. And I was approached actually by some people in my country to ask me, you know, if I would be interested in doing this. And I said, absolutely, because it was centered around women's rights and there was no bikini contest or nothing like that I didn't really feel comfortable with. But kudos to all of those who feel comfortable in their body enough to do things like this. I didn't feel comfortable. So I thought, this is amazing. That's great for me. Let's go. And we were spending 1 week in South Africa with visiting women and children in orphanages and schools, etc. So I said, let's go. But 2 days before my trip, I received a message from some people in Gabon who were supposed to sponsor me to go, telling me after I had mentally prepared, etc., that you know what, we thought about it. It would be a waste of time for you to go and a waste of money for us because you've never participated in a pageant in your life. And you're going to compete against Russians and Latinas who have done this their whole life. You will never be able to make even the top 20. I said, okay, but that's not what God told me. So I still want to go. And they said, well, you can go, but you're not going to go under our banner or money, whatever. I said, okay. So I asked for help at the embassy of Gabon. A lady named Valérie Assedi, who worked there as a diplomat, gave me $300. I did a GoFundMe and I raised $30. And yeah, so I had a bit of money. It was like my last monies, because back then I was really broke, but I wasn't broken. I still had faith. And so I took the money I had and I took a one-way flight to South Africa, because I went to the embassy. I asked the ambassador if he could pay for my plane ticket back if I made the top 20, since I was told that I would never make the top 20. He said, no, if you make the top 5, not only will I get you a ticket back to Canada, but I'll have a big surprise for you. And I said, okay. So I traveled to South Africa with a one-way ticket. I actually took a bus to New York with like 3 suitcases alone. When I arrived in New York, it's actually a homeless person that helped me with my bags. This man, God bless him, like he followed me from like close to the airport to downtown, where I had to take my bus to the JFK airport. So I had 11 hours there to New York. And then from there, and I arrived at like 6, 7 in the morning. Then from there, I had a 12-hour flight to Dubai. And then from Dubai, an 8-hour flight to Durban, South Africa. But when I arrived, I was so motivated. I was so grateful to God that I made it safe. And I just claimed victory. And then the night of the pageant, the week was amazing. And it was also a week in which I realized that no matter what your age is, if you have self-esteem issues, and I'm not talking about me, but other people that were there, you will suffer deeply. I was just there wanting everybody to win. I just wanted everybody to have a good time. I was too relaxed, apparently. And so on the night of, I made history. I passed the top 20, passed the top 10, and landed in the top 2. And I remember young women from South Africa, from this super low income school, came to support me, not even the South African candidate. And so when I got crowned, for them, it was such a big victory for them as well. And the hotel where we stayed, I made sure that I knew the stories of every woman that was serving us because they looked like me. They were Black women. I wanted them to sit at the table with me. I asked for permission at the hotel if they could sit, and I could see they were afraid to lose their job. And so they became my family there. So every day I felt at peace and I felt at home because I made sisters. I made mommies that would cook food for me. They would pray for me. And it was just a beautiful experience. So when I got to my hotel, by the time I looked at my phone, I had a plane ticket from the ambassador sent to go to Gabon. Not to come back to Canada. I was like, what is this man doing? I need to get back to Canada. And he was like, no, you need to come to Gabon. The whole country is happy and going crazy. We're so proud of you. And I got to the airport and it was insane. There was like so many people awaiting. There was such a big pride of people I didn't even know. It was a lot of people. And then I discovered family members I didn't know I had, but that was fun too. It was just a great experience overall. But I remember telling my sister before going, she said, are you sure you want to take that one-way flight? And I said, yeah, because I'm sponsored by God. And that was in 2017. And I said, these sponsors, they can take their sponsorship away from me, but I'm sponsored by God. And my sister kept telling me, you're sponsored by God, and remind me this every day. So now last year, I was speaking with my friend Sharifa and my sister the same day, but we were talking about completely different things. And I had achieved something, and my sister told me, yeah, I'm not surprised, you're sponsored by God. And then I was talking to Sharifa about something else, and she sent me a meme, and it said sponsored by God, like this little dancing meme. And I thought, maybe God is sending me, this is a sign. And so I launched my brand in October of last year. And within less than a year, I got to work on amazing collaborations with Beyonce's stylist for Black owned everything, had LL Cool J's wife make a whole post about it that is still on her Instagram, like just opening up the package I gave her. There was a lady named Claudine Joseph, who's of Haitian descent. She's the COO of LL Cool J's Enterprises, and she had ordered something from me, and Canada Post had lost her package. So she was upset. She sent me a message saying, listen, I've been waiting for this for a month. I don't understand what happened. I didn't know who she was. I just apologized and I told her, look, I'm just going to reimburse you your money and I'm going to send you back that jacket and send you some extra items. So I made sure I made an extra special care package for her. And when she opened it and received it, she made so many posts and told me, I'm so impressed with the way you reacted. I'm so impressed with your brand. I'm going to help you. And then she passed it on to LL's wife and to other celebrities who are starting to wear this. And all of this, again, came from not wanting anything from other people other than just doing and making things right for them. And that opens doors. So when you're doing things, again, with a kind heart and just wanting to make things right, ultimately doors open for you.
Oh, very interesting. I love the story and I guess the name came from and everything. It's
Thank
great
you.
hearing it. We're gonna change directions a bit. So could you talk to us about the documentary Lead Her that you're working on? Why are you creating it and what's your goal?
I mean, I've been all of my life, I've been surrounded by really strong women who had very strong opinions and that you just couldn't mess with. And even growing up, I grew up around Sarah Onyango, watching her, even at like receptions with my father, and the way she stood on the podium, she was just absolutely amazing. It's so much class and, so much power. There's some of our women, they just have it. They just walk in a room and it's like you see power and you see class and strength and all of this. And so I grew up around women like Sarah, like my mother, obviously, who, was fighting for us, even when there was injustices in school, she would show up and be like, don't mess with my child. And then when I started growing, and accessing spaces like the UN and the Organization of American States, where you don't really see many women. Those women that I was looking at, the Mara Marinaki, who was the ambassador of the European Union in Belgium, and all these people, they had such powerful stories. The pilots that I would meet that were women. One day I was flying and they said that for the first time, the pilot and co-pilots were women. I wanted to tell their stories, and I called it Lead Her, because obviously it's a play on word on leader and her, because I want women, no matter who they are, no matter what their skin color, religion, race, whatever, no matter what, they can see themselves in these different women. And it's a documentary that's very diverse, and that tells the empowering and powerful stories of women who are occupying spaces that are generally reserved only to men, including a basketball coach, a football coach, and all of that, just so that all of us can see ourselves represented in all these fields.
That's a beautiful. Again, I like it very much, and I think, yeah, I think it needs to be, I guess, more stories of women's success. I mean, just to be flooding, like, the stories that we hear.
Yeah, for sure. And that all women, all girls can see themselves in a woman that they see in this documentary would just mean a lot to me. It's just to inspire people and to inspire them to never give up, and to know that there's always a way, when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, and representation absolutely matters. And Gwen, you're doing that 100%. I love everything that you've been saying, everything that you've been talking about. I think you're one of those leaders. You're definitely one of those, and really appreciate the conversation. We have one more question for you. I'm going to let Danielle take it. And I know we're going a little bit over 7:57, but if you don't mind, we'll have one more question for you and then we'll close it out.
Awesome.
So our last question, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to make a difference in the world the way you're making a difference?
I would be just do it. And I'm not endorsing Nike, but just really just do it, honestly, and give yourself the means to do it. Encourage and empower yourself the same way you encourage and empower the celebrities that don't always need that, but that you do that for. We're so fast at cheering on other people, at acknowledging the strength and the accomplishments of other people, and like being in awe, and it's okay. And it's, you have to give credit to people. You have to give them kudos for things that they do. But in the process of doing that, you have to remember to give kudos to yourself as well, and to celebrate your victories, as small as you may think they are, because a victory can be even just the ability to wake up in the morning, regardless of the adversity that you faced yesterday, and that you're able to get up and look at yourself and your face in the mirror and say, you know what, today I will try again. That courage is all about that. It's about trying again, regardless of adversity, regardless of what happened to you. Is giving yourself a chance. So I really hope, my advice to people is give yourself the chance that you often give to people that sometimes don't even deserve that chance in your life. Give that chance to you. Encourage yourself, and know that all things always work out for the good of those who love God. And for me, at least in my life, my experience, knowing that I have God makes me understand that all things are possible. Yeah, that's all.
Well, that's really good advice. All things do work to your betterment, to your improvement, right? As you mentioned before, like all those experiences could have broken you, but instead they shaped you, and shaped you in such a way to help you to do the work that you're doing today. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate the vulnerability and the honesty that you brought to this conversation, and we're so grateful to have you on to share with the listeners today. So again, thank you so very much, and we wish you all the best in all the ventures going forward. But I mean, your track record speaks for itself. Whether you have some failures, I know you'll turn around into just a learning tool. and you'll go forward and make things happen. So thank you. And one never knows, maybe, you know, we'll get together and collaborate on something.
Yeah.
I just love the work that you're doing. So thank you very much. We also want to say thank you to the members, to the audience. Thank you, Sarah. She does excellent conversation. Thanks, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. Over the past couple of months, we've had, you know, discussions with Stacey Martin, with Black Ladders, and today with Gwen. And I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Over the summer, just want to let you guys know that we're going to be taking a bit of a break to regroup, determine our way forward as a network, and do some planning for our fall rollout. So for me, it's been, you know, a trying time during this pandemic, taking on a variety of new roles and responsibilities. I'm speaking for myself here. A couple of weeks ago, my mind was like, girl, you just need to get off this here highway, move on to the side streets and take it easy. And so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be, you know, negating the culture of overwhelm and overdoing and doing too much, and taking a much needed break to really look at what it is that we're going to be doing going forward as YBP. We're not going anywhere. We just want to plan and make sure that whatever we roll out is going to be what you guys are looking for, what you guys need. So please, a last question to you guys. What is it that you want from YBP? What kind of events are you looking for? What kind of subjects do you want to cover? This would really help us with our planning over the summer. So be sure to post it in the Facebook live chat. You can contact us on all the medias, the Instagrams, the Twitter, the LinkedIn at Ottawa YBP. And of course, you could also send us a message on our website, ottawybp.com. So again, thank you guys so much. Have yourselves a great summer, and we'll see you in the fall. Bye.